All right, good day, guys. We are back. Babs is back. What is going on? We are going to do a little chat about Pinehurst back nine. I got a message from Mr. Jonathan, and we're going to pull this up right here. Here we go. Jonathan. Pinehurst back nine. Figure out some devices for approach shots. Either they play long or just weird. So, first tip about that would be is to go into practice mode, low winds, and this way this will allow you to understand what you're doing with your shots and what your numbers may be doing with your shots, so you can figure out, are my numbers off? Because not every course plays the same exactly to the numbers that you put together. Some play long, some play short. You just kind of have to make some notes and work around those little nuances. So here in this situation, we only have one camera, but you have to keep in mind that on this course, the best thing to do is to come up short because you have this ledge here. And anytime you roll somewhere back here, you have a very high likelihood of the ball rolling off the green, like so. So your best place to be is short, somewhere in this area would be the best spot. So be careful with that, especially in headwinds. I know we try and, add a little more to the shot, get the ball there. But if you find yourself maybe getting the wind wrong and adding too much wind, then you could very well just fly right off the green. And of course, nobody likes to par 5 when they're getting their round started. So we'll come up short. I had that at 49 yards, roughly 50 yards, so nothing crazy. We're going to be playing on 12 greens, low winds, just getting an idea of what the numbers are doing, so forth and so on. And then from there, you can start to build your divisors. Okay, so my base number is this. And that way, when I start adding things, I say, well, maybe that divisor is wrong. Or maybe I'm getting the wind wrong, so forth and so on. So keep that in mind. So here we're looking at, not a terribly hard shot. Just got to keep in mind that when the ball hits the green, it's going to tend to want to roll backwards. And what I mean by that is if you see all the blue and red in this situation, the green slopes back to front. Plus the headwind will want to bring the ball back a little. So that is something to keep in mind when you're planning a shot like this. You don't exactly just want to go for the flag. It'll roll away from it. My yardage here is about 177, so that's going to be a 95% 5-iron. Maybe a little misting, we'll see. So, a little long. And sometimes you'll see that the wind, will change from time to time. So if we go back and say, let's look at another camera angle. See, now this wind looks like, depending on the course, see how the angle here is one thing? So we're actually hitting from here, but the wind angle itself is pointing this way. So that comes into mind that, it's not as straight of a headwind as we were. Now, if our player was over here hitting this way, then that would be a pretty dead headwind. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at these angles and the cameras that might be throwing you off. See, that's a little more outside wind as well. So you may have to change how you're calculating your wind angles, in which case we may have to take this off over on this side, and then now our shot becomes 175, just based on that change in wind angle. So let's account for that shot. So now I hit 97%. And our ball's right on the money. Simply because of that slight wind difference. Understanding what the angle of the wind was doing in terms of how it's relating to the player and the ball. And that's what we're looking for. And then we're just going to go ahead and give this little putt a try. 24%, not really worrying about the putting right now. Got some dots moving a little quicker at the beginning. That one dot at the end's kind of dead. But we'll put that in play, see what happens. So we're looking at right about in this ballpark here. Should be a good putt. All right. Some people's least favorite hole on this course. But again, keep in mind, what camera you're looking at, what angle you're looking at. See how this is, direct headwind right here. We're looking at all these, so now this is more in line with our player, direct headwind. So that's the one we're going to look at. See, number one, kind of skewed. This direct headwind, pretty much in line. Say the caddy's just standing over here for no reason. But that's the type of concept that you want to get into, is understanding what camera angle you're using and is it the correct one. So what we're looking at here is that this green is quite tricky. You have to keep in mind this green does some really tricky things. So if we were to zoom in on this, we're looking at some, oh, that's not good. We don't want that bad boy. Let's move her back over here. We got greens that slope here and greens that slope here. So if you go long, the ball rolls off this way. If you come up too short with too much backspin, the ball rolls off this way. So you ask yourself, how can I counteract that? And what we're going to do is, instead of hitting that choke down 6-iron that we could possibly hit, we're going to hit an off-spin 7-iron. Slightly off-spin like so. Full power. And that way the ball sticks. There's no rollback. We're not using the wind. We're not having this entire thing. See, if I switch putting grids to the vertical dots, all the vertical dots are moving from my player directly down to the end of the green. And that's what you want to be careful for when you're hitting full backspin shots into greens such as this, is that the ball could very well hit the green and roll right off the green if you're not careful with how much spin you put on, how much force you put on, and so forth and so on. All right, let's see. Nice little tailwind here. So this hole can give people some problems. Again, it is spin susceptible. So this wind, not bad. Again, looking at the green, looking at what's happening with all the blue and red, see, it runs back to front. And it's moving away from the flag in both situations. So I can't really zoom in while holding the thing, but if you were to zoom in here, all of this is blue back here. And then when you're looking at this, the ball is actually moving this way. But everything is moving away from the flag. So that's why you'll notice sometimes when you putt on the screen, it may look like dot movement, but it's actually a straight putt because that all the conflicting dots are moving in a manner that creates a straight putt. So with this shot, it's again, nothing crazy. If you want to add some topspin to reduce some drawback, you can do that. It's personal preference. We're looking at 72 yards. For me, that's going to be 95%. I might give it a little aim. We'll just hit this 95% and we'll show you what happens. Got beats. And so you'll see how it spins back towards the green. Lands 69, rolls back 1 yard. Now, what you can do to counteract that is leave the same 95%, but add that little bit of topspin. And now I hit 95%. With the topspin, and the ball stays there. Same yardage, because in this situation, it's not going to add yards. We're not imparting enough power on the ball to create more yardage. You know, and if I were to do that a little better with a closer misting and all that stuff, you know, a little bit of topspin keeps that slight ball from coming back. And that's, you know, something you can do on very fast greens. It's not going to go forward. It's just going to stay where it is. So you're right there. Stop and stick. And so that'll keep your ball from rolling back down here in situations like this. You know, this is a good something to do on Pebble Beach #1 because that green tends to rip back. There's several other greens where that can happen. Pinehurst #3 is another one that can rip back. So that's just good practice. You know, if you're thinking, oh, I don't want my ball to gain 4 yards from 20% topspin, it's not going to do that. So you don't have to be worried about that. It's simply to counteract the spin that the wedge is creating with the uphill elevation and the tailwind is what we're looking at there. All right, so here we are looking at, you know, what can be a pretty interesting type of green. And what I mean by that is that this green is sloped in a manner, I'll get this set up here, where there's a ridge here, and then there's a ridge here and a ridge here. So this is kind of like your happy zone right in here. That's your happy zone. The ball tends to move this way, and if you go too far right, it'll go off the green here, and if you go too long, it'll go off the green here. So this is your happy zone, and where you want to be somewhere in this area right in here, off to the right side. Now, if you have a stronger wind like this, you have to ask yourself, do I really want to aim way out here? Risk hitting a bad misting, landing on the rough, and going in the bunker? No, me personally, I would under aim and let the misting do its job. That's how I would approach this situation. In this instance right here, if I calculate this, I get 148 yards. And basically, you know, 1 grid of aim, but I'm gonna aim only half a grid because I'm a misting player. That's the kind of adjustment that I have to make. And then we'll hit this, let's see, 97% roughly. May or may not spin back. Got the misting. And you'll see that's how the ball tends to explode off the club. Now, if you'll see that I'll hit that exact same shot. Half grid misting, 97%. We'll show you the difference. See, again, 97%, 100% spin. Now we're right on the money. And so you ask yourself, well, how the hell is both shots, one being bad way out here and one being good way right here? And that's where the game and the variance come into play, and it's out of your control. You know what I mean? It's like, it's out of your control. So you can't look at it like, maybe I got my numbers wrong. It's just, that's how the game is designed. It's not like real golf, you know, where you'll hit a shot and you'll think, oh, I caught that crisp. And then it goes, it's almost like the game is putting in some numbers there based on your previous gameplay. And that's how Vim works. It takes what you've been doing, so you've been playing great, and then it tries to make things a little harder. So you just got to roll with it. You know, sometimes things happen and you just can't predict when that's going to happen. So going back to that, it's kind of like my shot on, you know, the band and ready go, no win yesterday, where, you know, the first hole, it's, you know, it's a 97% 3-wood, and I dinged it, and it went 251 yards, but it went 4 yards offline. So it's just, you know, downright silly. Sometimes it's just, you can't predict it. But anyways, we're here. This hole is kind of dangerous, especially with this wind for somebody like me who's a misting player, especially since this is high side, and that's not good. I want red. All right. So this is high side, all in this area. And then the ball rolls off this way, off the green. So if I was in this situation and I would say, oh, you know, not really experienced with off-spin shots, I would hit a roughly, you know, 96% full backspin shot, slight misting. And that's what my tendency would be. But you see how the ball rolls back and away from the hole. So like we did on number 13, I want to minimize that. Or I should say, actually number 12. I want to minimize that. So I take the 5-iron out. And I put that roughly half spin. And to counteract me going into the danger area, I'll move this over half a grid to the left. And I'll treat it in that manner like that. So that now when I hit this full spin shot and misting late, the two work together. The fact that I move the flag to the left, and now the fact that I'm misting to the right, keeps my ball on a good line without having to risk, the ball coming over here and possibly rolling off the green this way or rolling off the green this way. So the wind's not strong enough to change how much happens, but I have to take this shot into my control by moving the aimer over here and then letting the misting over here straighten the ball out. Ooh, thunder. So that's how I compensate for this kind of hole with that kind of wind and these game settings, is by moving the aimer, mistinging, taking a half spin shot to do so. All right, 16. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. So with this wind, I need to take into account that I can't move the aimer because I need to let the misting go ahead and do its job. So by mistinging, I can keep the ball where I need it to be, which is slightly to the left of the flag. We'll hit a slightly off spin shot here and just misting early. And so we keep ourselves right on line with the flag. And that way we don't even have to move the flag. We don't have to risk moving it a grid over here, getting that same misting, maybe ending up even later or above the hole or even rolling off the hole. So in retrospect like that, for a misting player like myself, that's how I approach a shot like this, and that's how I approach the game in general. Take trouble out of the way. Just by simply mistinging. All right, good old 17. So something to keep in mind with 17 is that there's a lot of low area, and it's very hard to see in this view because the tree shades are all there. But you can see the red at the bottom left of my pitch grid. So you don't want to go too far left in this situation, because this is all high side up here, but this is all low side down here. So be careful when you're hitting left to right winds, you don't come up too short. It's best to go past the flag in this situation and have a much straighter putt. In this case right here, I'm looking at 204 yards, maybe grid and a half of aim because of my misting. I could hit a full 4-iron, but I'm not going to hit a full backspin 4-iron. I'm going to take spin off so that I mitigate some of the drawback. That's what I'm looking for. Not much spin back. Got the ding. Went a little long. Not terrible. But I'm minimizing that now if I would, have done what I normally do. Oh, let's leave the flag in. Hit this with that off spin, but had the actual miss ding. That's the miss ding I wanted. Now we'll show you where the ball should have been, right there. And so that's how I play. You can see the difference between a ding shot, which ends up way over here. That's not how I play. I'm playing miss ding, and how that can greatly, change a shot. So my goal is to play miss ding. This is the shot I wanted. And sometimes, in my case, the ding actually hurts me. And so you just have to try and develop your game the best way you see fit that suits what you're trying to achieve. Again, as I've said before, me playing on my iPad, it's incredibly difficult to hit this ding line. So instead of trying to struggle to hit it and make a mistake, I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so infamous number 18. Gotta be careful with this hole, especially in winds like this. We are looking at high side here. Everything rolls off this way, and everything moves down this way. And then there's a ridge that runs right in here. So if you come up too short, or even right above that ridge, you can roll all the way down here. So, two approaches to this situation. We can hit a full backspin 8-iron, or we can hit a half spin 8-iron. And we'll go ahead and show you both. Full backspin 8-iron is going to be almost 100%. Slight misting. And I land above the hole. And that'll leave me with a relatively straight putt downhill. Now, if you don't want to hit that, maybe you hit a half spin shot, such as so, like this. Same aim, leave the flag in. Now we're going to hit this 95%, roughly. We'll be right below the hole. So, two options to achieve roughly the same result. Obviously, that one was a little long. Probably could have hit it 98% instead. But, my yardages for this is 140 yards, but I'm taking two different types of approaches. Those are the options I have in this situation to attack this hole. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. This one's for Jonathan. Again, if you're unsure of your yardages, so forth and so on, go to practice mode and hit some shots and see what your base numbers are, and then you can build your calculations around that. All right, so have a great day. I'll see y'all soon. Take care.